My guest this morning, I have known for years, many years now, going back into the early 2000s, and our paths have come in and out of each other since that time. And I'm going to let her introduce herself as we'll start asking, the questions. But I've known Kim Williams back into like 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. I was teaching at School 6 at the time. She was teaching at School 21. School 6 was doing some work in their building on their windows. We were having all of our windows taken out because they wanted to make sure there was no asbestos in the building. So all of our windows were being taken out, and it was a project that they were doing during the school year. So this was the grand idea. This is what we did. Half-day school sessions. So we did a half-day. School 21 did a half day. I think they did the morning shift from like 7 to 11 or 7 to 12. And at School 6, we would get bussed over from School 6 to School 21 for the rest of the day. I think we were like 12 to 5 or something like that. As it turns out, Kim was teaching language arts. I was a language arts teacher. So whenever they put us in the classroom, I actually would have her class. My class would now sit in her class for the afternoon. And that's where we first met. And then as things would have it, as our paths continued to cross, she wound up being a teacher in one of the schools that I was principal of, and she left and came back. And then whenever I was assigned to the Young Men's Leadership Academy about 4 years ago, there was a vacancy there, and the assistant superintendent told me the name of the person who had applied because she actually started the process with the previous principal. And so when she told me the person's name, I said, "Oh, she's in. No question. Let's do what we need to do." And so we have been together ever since. So this is our fourth year together at the Young Men's Leadership Academy. She teaches middle school language arts, and our middle school language arts students, their scores went up on the NJSLA. And so she has a story to tell as well, because when Karen was sharing her story about the breast cancer, she was calling in. Kim was calling in. I said, you know what? I'm going to have her on too. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reading Circle microphones, Kim Williams. Kim, good morning.
Good morning.
And she has been excited about coming on because she did radio. I didn't realize that until we had this conversation. She did radio when she was in college, rather. So when she was in college, she did radio. So she was excited to be coming back into the booth. So I'll tell you what. Since you're here. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself. And because normally I get a bio and I read it, but since you're here live, you can go ahead and do that.
Listen, it was praise and worship this morning. I was in church swaying from left to right. All I needed was my fan. Oh, my God. Thank you for having me. My name is Kim Williams. Many know me as Kim Williams Nutter or Kim Nutter, but I am Kim Williams. I was born to Stephen and Aloma Williams in September of 1969 of the 23rd of September. I was raised in Orange, New Jersey, attended Orange High School. From there, I went to Virginia Union University for 1 year, transferred to William Patterson College, which is now William Patterson University. I pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in 1991. I graduated in 1992. I had odd jobs here and there, and then I became a substitute teacher in Patterson, New Jersey at School 21. At that point, there was a vacancy, and I slid right into it, the opportunity, and I was there for 12 years. And then I went to School 4, and then I was at School 6, and now I am at YMLA, Young Men's Leadership Academy.
Now, we're going to go all the way back a little bit. Before we even get into your story, is being a teacher, is that what you wanted to do whenever you were little, or how did you get into teaching?
You know what? I did. At first I did. My mom purchased this big, gigantic chalkboard, and I remember having my teddy bears as my students, and I would yell at them. I put on my mom's high heel shoes, and I would pretend I was a teacher. So, and I admired one of my teachers, which is Miss Irwin. I will never forget her. She was my 6th grade teacher, so I mimicked her a lot, and from there was history.
And see, I guess maybe because I'm a former ELA teacher, or that's my area. But when I go in her class, the way she teaches, her style and my style is very similar in terms of getting the students engaged. And there's everybody. See, this is the thing about teaching. This is what used to annoy me, even though I did cross over. But what would annoy me about teaching was folks would say, well, I got laid off, so if I can't do anything else, I'll just teach. Oh, well, you know what? Well, what are you going to do? You got laid off, or you go, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I think I'll teach. people, and my issue with that is no one says that about any other profession. Well, you know what? I got laid off. I think I'll be a doctor. You know, I got laid off. I think I'll be a lawyer. People think anybody can teach, and that's not true. That's where I'm going with this. People think anybody can teach. No, anybody cannot teach. Because there's one thing, yes, you know your content. There's another thing in delivery. In order to get your students engaged, you need to be able to have an exciting, engaging delivery. That's where I'm going with the whole story. Kim has that. She has an exciting, engaging delivery, which kind of lets me know that teaching is her calling. That's where I was going with the whole story about, because people actually think that anybody can do it. No, teaching is a calling. And so when I go into her room and I see how she's engaging with the students, I was like, that's a calling for her. That's just not just a job. That's why I just asked that question. So, okay, we were, you became a teacher and you're doing your thing. And because I'm looking at the cheat sheet you gave me, the notes you gave me, and then, you were very young when you got hit. You started having some health issues. Mm-hmm. Very young. So what is that like? Because this is not like, most people associate health issues with old. And even old gets relative the older that you get. See, for me, as a 60-year-old right now, 60 is not old. 70 is not old. 80 is not old. Now, to a 10-year-old, yeah, it's old. All right? But you're in your 20s, and now you start coming across health issues. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so at 27 years old, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. So with the normal menstrual, the flow would, of course, it's a natural flow. With endometriosis, the flow reverts back into you. And then what happens is those endometrial cell-like tissues begin to grow, and they form what they call chocolate cysts. And they sticky. It's very sticky. So it sticks onto your major organs. And for me, it stuck onto my bowels, which I wasn't able to eat. I had debilitating pain. I lost a lot of weight. It was to the point that one of the teachers at School 21 said to me, Kim, you look emaciated. When I tell you, I ran into the bathroom and cried my eyes out because I knew how I looked, but I just didn't know what to do. So eventually, I was able to get the surgery to remove the endometrial cysts. Not only did I have cysts, I also had fibroids. And that runs in my family. And that's very, very common among Black women. So we have to really be mindful if we have fibroids to make sure that you get them checked every single year when you have your annual. That is critical. So with the pain, the debilitating pain, I was able to manage it through birth control pills. So what I would do is I would take the birth control pills for 3 months straight without getting a menstrual. Because if I had a menstrual, Mark, I would not be able to go to work. And it's funny because when I was out, they knew why I was out. So I had to say, okay, what is it that I need to do to take care of me? Because I can't live like this. I had dark bags. My iron was low. It was a lot. So I was able to, again, I had a myomectomy in 2007. And they were able to take all of the cysts as much as they could. They did warn me that I had aggressive endometriosis. So I had to be careful because I knew that it can grow back. So I went to a nutritionist, and my nutritionist suggested that I not eat red meat nor chicken because of the hormones that was injected into those meats. So I didn't eat meat, Mark, for like 8 years or 9 years. So then as time went on, it grew back, and I felt it. So my nutritionist would give me natural herbs, like the bark, where I had to boil it and drink it, and also take oral herbs. That worked for a minute, and it did stop my menstrual, but I still felt the pain. So as time went on, it ceased. It was able to cease, but I knew it was there. So in 2017, I remember tying my shoelace, and I was like, "Ooh, what is this pain?" It was on my left-hand side. I said, something's not right. I said, okay, let me go to my gynecologist now. Be mindful. I had a gynecologist prior to that. He was great. But you were going on Monday and come back out on Friday. That's how long it was. So as women, we're like, okay, enough. I'm not spending my day in the office. So one of my girlfriends was like, Kim, there's this doctor, go to him. You're in and out. And when I mean I was in and out, I was in and out. And I was pretty healthy as far as I was concerned. But he wasn't diagnostic. And I knew it. So I would say to him, listen, I'm feeling this pain. Oh, it's scar tissue from your surgery. I said, no, something is wrong. And I felt it. So he said, let's take a test. I'll take a blood test. And I said, now also, I want a CT scan, because when you drink the liquid, it lights your body up, the inside, like a Christmas tree. And you see each and everything that may go wrong. So I said, no, this is what I want. I'm now taking charge of myself, because obviously he wasn't. So I remember getting the call. CT scan, I had that done. I had my blood drawn for a CA-125, and that stands for cancer. I'm sorry, I don't want to say the wrong thing here. Okay, cancer. Am I out?
No, you're good.
Oh, I can't hear myself. Okay, here I go. Cancer antigen 125. That will detect if there's any cancer in the body at all. I got the call. The secretary said, the doctor wants to see you. I came into the office. So I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I can tell by his face something was wrong. So a CA-125, the normal range is from 0 to 35. Mine was 135. So he's looking at me like, okay, how is she still here? Right? He said, I need to refer you to an oncologist. Now my heart is in my stomach. Now listen, I'm already suffering from hot flashes. Okay, because I'm in premenopause.
Right.
Now I'm like on fire. So my hands are shaking. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I decided, Kim, there's nothing you can do. You're going to go to the doctor who he refers, and you will go from there. Now, before that, when I got the phone call, I was at school 6. I was in the class with the teacher. And I remember her saying something about an oncologist. But I was like, I'm just going to let that go. Maybe it's not as serious. She doesn't know. Because that office is, So I remember going to the bathroom and crying. And I remember going upstairs to Melanie Brown, who is now the principal of school 6. And I cried my eyes out. And I remember her hugging me saying, Kim, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. So fast forward. Now I go to the oncologist, his office, Dr. Tad Dennehy. I'm going to give him a shout out because he is the best. He is located in West Orange, right across the street from St. Barnabas Hospital. So I sat in his office. He looking at me, and I'm looking. I was like, why is everyone staring at me? This is ridiculous. So we're looking at each other. He says to me, Kim, you have a cyst on the left side by your ovary. It's the size of a honey-dew melon. Honey-dew melon. I knew it. So when he took me to the office, and we had the examination. When he examined me, he said, you feel that, don't you? I said, I sure do. He said, well, we're not going to worry about it. You're young, and whatever it is, we're going to get through this. So I said, okay. I said, let's get it going because I'm ready now. So about a couple weeks later, we scheduled this surgery. So now, fast forward to surgery. So now I'm at the hospital. And he says to me, Kim, don't worry. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Your numbers are high because, you had endometriosis. So your hormones, are probably raging. But I'm concerned because you're 48 years old. And I'm wondering, why is it so high? But we're not going to worry. Had the surgery. Woke up. Before that, my mom and dad were in the waiting room. And there's a monitor. And there were a plethora of names. And each person who were now finished with their surgery, their names were deleted. Mine was still there. So what took a 3-hour surgery was now 6. So by the time my mom and dad got into the room with me and the recovery room, I looked at my father and my mom, and I knew something was wrong. Mind you, I was on cloud 9 because I'm coming out of surgery.
That's right.
So my dad says to me, Kim, you have cancer. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, am I dreaming this? Is it the drugs? Like, what is going on? So then I said, And the first thing I said, Mark, what's going to happen to my hair? Now, that's normal for a black woman because our hair is our crown. So for me to say that, I knew it was, he said, you're not going to have your hair. And that your hair is not as important as your health. So from there, we scheduled the appointment. My dad and I had a full hysterectomy. So my dad and I, once I was able to heal, we were able to go visit the infusion center that was at St. Barnabas. And, I'm going to tell you what's funny, what's ironic. When you're in the infusion center, you don't see people your age. So with my dad and my mom, they're thinking it's them. And then they see me walk in the back and they're like, wait, it's her? She's the one that has cancer? Yes, it's me. And I'm going to tell you, the support you have to have. You have to have a great support system, because if you do not have a great support system, you cannot get through it alone.
That is correct. And one of the guests that I have coming in the next, sometime at some point, is a young lady. Her name is Janine, and she's going to tell you that same thing. So you're absolutely right in terms of support. I mean, you just, again, trick of the enemy is you're the only one that's going through this. Nobody cares. You're going to do this alone. And truth of the matter is, no, you're not. And well, some people don't have the support. That's a sad commentary. However, she's right. You will not get through whatever you're going through without support. You threw out some terms of endometriosis. Mm-hmm. It was something with an M.
Myomectomy.
There you go. Myomectomy. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit. What are those things?
So,
what is a myomectomy? What is a?
Okay. So endometriosis, again, I told you, it's where the blood flow again goes back up into you. So where does it go? It stays there. Right? So it can go around the fallopian tubes. It can catch on to any part of your bladder, your bowel, whatever. But for me, it was my bowels. And that's why I lost so much weight. My hair thinned, dark bags. I mean, I was like probably a size 7. I probably was a size 7 when I was 2. So again, I'm like, okay, I know something is wrong, but I was scared at that time. But I did. I took challenge of my health. I was not playing any games at all. I knew what I needed to do. The myomectomy is a surgical procedure where they cut you at the bottom where your bikini line is, and then they extract whatever needs to be extracted from that area. That's a myomectomy.
One of the things in terms of, I heard her say too, and ladies and men,
mm-hmm.
please, if you don't get nothing out of these interviews that we're talking about health, please do your annuals. And all these different associated tests that go along with the annuals, have them done. I've shared with you before, I started doing my annuals and my dad died suddenly of a heart attack at 48. From that point on, I make sure I get all my annuals in terms of eyes, in terms of dental, in terms of the general. Make sure you do that and stay on top of that. But the earlier you catch these things, the better chance that you have for survival. I'm sitting here because I'm fascinated all the time in terms of having to hear that. I just, like I said, I cannot wrap my mind around having to hear those words, you have cancer. Because immediately folks associate cancer and death. And what I'm trying to do, there's a book called You've Been Chosen, and the author of that is Cent Marshall, and Cent had it as well. I think she had colon cancer, if I'm not mistaken. And I was trying to find in there when she first got that call, and she talks what her reaction was. Because I asked the same question to Karen, and we're asking you the same question in terms of, like you said, when you were told you were still under your medication, so you're kind of like wondering, like, did I hear what I thought I heard? Well, how do you process that?
It didn't register at first. It didn't register. I'm like, okay, what is he talking about? But then I saw the seriousness, the look in both of the faces. Mind you, my mom at the time was 72. My father was 76. So at this point, I should be taking care of them, not them taking care of me. Right. And when I tell you that we ran on fumes for 5 months, every week I received my treatment. So every week it's chemotherapy. It's a drug called Taxol. Then every third week it was Taxol and carboplatin. And when I tell you that it's called the Big 3, and that Big 3 took me out. took me out. Hard to breathe, dizzy. My fingernails turned black. My toenails turned black. I had neuropathy in my fingertips, in my toes, in my feet that I still have to this day. So stepping on a crumb is like stepping on glass, because that's how intense the nerve endings are. It was a lot, man. My tongue turned purple. It was so much. But I was blessed, Mark, because some people who go through chemotherapy have worse symptoms than that. Nausea, vomiting, dizziness. It was a lot. Some people can't even take the treatment. And Karen was one of them. Karen said that she could not take the treatment at first. It was just so much. It's a lot.
And again, what is going through your mind as you're going through this week after week after week? You're going through this various treatments.
Mm-hmm. So in my mind, and I said to myself, God, I do everything for everyone. Why me?
Right.
Why me? Why me? I do for everyone. Kim is there on the spot all the time. I'm supportive. I'm your number one cheerleader, support system. Whatever it is you need, I'm there. So I'm going to be honest. In the beginning, I was a little mad at God. I was.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And see, this is the thing with that. And I've had this guy. I think I had the conversation with Karen, but if not, I know I've had the conversation. And I know my pastor said this. God is big enough to take our anger. Because people think we can't question God. People think we cannot be angry with God. Yes, you can. And if you look biblically, a lot of the biblical characters got angry with God. They did. But God is big enough to take our little anger. So I know when my father died, my mother was hot at God. She was hot. The same thing she was saying, the thing like you were saying. Like, he was like 48 years old, just boom, dropped out of the... So she was hot at God. She really was. And this is somebody been going to church all her days. So, no, absolutely. And that's okay. Don't feel guilty about feeling that way, because God is big enough to take our little anger. He could take our questions. Now, this is the thing about asking God questions, though. I'll tell you all that. I tell you this all the time. We can question God. We just may not like the answer. All right? And so in terms of, hey, you can ask me the question, you just may not like the answer that I'm going to give you. But this whole nonsense of you can't question God, no, that's not necessarily biblically sound. All right? So, yes, so the fact that you felt bad, because I got a sister that's going through the same thing, said the exact same thing you said. She's, for the most part, can't do nothing now. Other than sit in the house and be on the dialysis machine. And she's pretty much kind of like saying the same thing you said. I don't get this. All right, so you're going through that. You're going through these treatments. Because, again, if you were to look at Kim right now, this is not TV. This is radio. Fine as I don't know what. If you were to look at her, you would never know that she has gone through any of this stuff that she is talking about. You would not know that she has gone through. And there's that song, I'm Glad I Don't Look Like What I've Been Through. You would not, if you saw her, if you walked up on her in the building or on the street or whatever. And that's the other thing. None of us know what any of us are going through or have gone through. All right? Nobody knows it. You don't know your backstory. That's why it pays us to be nice to everybody. It just pays us to be kind. Because you don't know what folks are going through. You don't know when they're going through these various treatments or what's on their mind or what experiences they've had that could be driving the behavior or the way they come at you. You just don't know. Because again, while you were going through that, did your coworkers know? You said some of them,
no.
They could see, there you go.
Mm-mm. I didn't want them to.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest with you. And the reason why I chose not to is because I didn't want a pity party. Oh, Kim, everything's going to be okay. Certain coworkers did know at School 6. My immediate family knew. My immediate family and friends, they knew. I purposely did not post any pictures on Facebook. And when I was posting on Facebook one time, I was tagged in a picture. And I remember so my second week of chemotherapy, and then I'll get to the picture. Mm-hmm. My second week of chemotherapy, I had braids in my hair. And I never forget, I was putting them up in a ponytail. And 2 snapped out of the scalp of my head. 2. I'm like, oh my God. So my dad was coming to the house and I was like, oh my God, get yourself together, Kim. You don't want him to see you upset. So I said, listen, these braids are coming out. He said, they're going to come out, Kim. You know how men are. They're going to come out. So I go to get my treatments. And one of the nurses there, lovely, I love her so much. She's my best. She said, Kim, you are going to conquer it. Don't let it conquer you. You're going to go home. get a pair of scissors and cut every braid out of your head. Because if you continue to let them pop out, it's going to be a traumatic experience. And it was traumatic that morning. I went home, I cut them out. So I said, what am I going to do now? So one of my good girlfriends, Kelly Charles, supervisor, said, Kim, I know that what you can do, get a t-shirt and wrap your head with the t-shirt. I said, oh, I can do that, because I was trying on wigs looking like Diana Ross. And I'm not walking around looking like Diana Ross. We're not doing this. So I decided to wear head wraps. So once the head wrap was posted on Facebook, someone that I knew went to my mom and said, I know what's wrong with Kim. That look, I know what's wrong with her. So because people don't know, they assume. And I don't like that. Instead of just saying, listen, I'm praying for her, I have an idea of what's going on, please give her my sympathies. She'll be okay. I'm praying for her. But to go and to really take me apart because of me wearing a head wrap, and you think you know? Yeah, because it was skin to scarf. So yeah, you know. But at the end of the day, some people can be very insensitive.
Correct.
So that's why I say you have to have a group of people that you know have your back, no matter what, supportive. And some people can't be as supportive and there all the time, but I know they're praying for me. One of my sorority sisters, I know for sure, she just can't do it because it's not in her. But I know for sure that her prayers are with me because she's been through the same thing with her family. So I do know that. So having a supportive system is number one.
You know, it's interesting in terms of now not only, and I just had this conversation on Thursday about the caregivers, because it's not just the person who's sick, it's the caregivers as well. The caregivers, they have a whole different change in life. I heard you talking about your mom and dad, how they now had to revamp everything they were doing at the time. And you're right, the natural order of things is the kids take care of the parents, not the parents have to take care of the kids once we're grown. But sometimes it does happen the other way. And then you have something I just heard you talk about in terms of how other people, for the most part, probably don't know what to say or how to act around you. Because, again, people associate terminal illness with death. Mm-hmm. Like, what do I say to somebody who's dying? Or do I even bring that up? Or do I act like they don't have it? What do I do? I mean, what?
So then you ask questions. Kim, what can I do for you? How can I help you? What do you need? Grocery shopping. What is it that you need for me to do? Simple things. Listen, I had friends that had a key to my house because you never knew what would happen. So every Wednesday when I have to say we because it was my family, chemotherapy, my mom would come back home with me. And then she would stay with me and go home the following morning because she didn't know the results of the chemo. And if I would wake up that morning, and I'm going to tell you this, Dr. Dennehy said to me, Kim, if you keep this spirit up, you're going to beat it. You're going to conquer it. I was diagnosed with stage 1, late stage 1, early stage 2 ovarian cancer. Only 15% of the women catch it that early. He said, you are blessed because it is called the silent killer. You have no symptoms. And those symptoms that you do have would be bloating, abdominal pain, vomiting, nausea. That's simple stuff. That can be a cold. That can be the stomach bug.
Right. So it's masked. You wouldn't know. It's like, I'm not thinking along. It's something. It could be something just.
It mimics those symptoms. Mm-hmm.
Right. But what you say is, it's silent because the symptoms, they're not something that jump out at you. They're not abnormal. They're normal things that could be occurring that you don't give a thought to. Wow. And you caught it, you caught it where?
Late stage 1, early stage 2.
See, that's why we were playing Grateful this morning. Mm-hmm. So, because, like she said, you can catch things later, and that's why it's so important to stay on top of. One, I think in general, I could be wrong. I don't like to, I don't want to sound sexist. I don't want to generalize. But in general, I think women tend to stay on top of their health. When something goes wrong, they don't have an issue going to the doctor. It's the men. For the most part, men are like, whatever. I'll go whenever. And I'm saying for you men out there listening, stay on top of your annuals as well. Because there are men who get breast cancer. There are men who've had different types. I know prostate cancer is big with men. There are a lot of other health issues that go on with men that we need to make sure that we get to our doctors as well. But for the most part, when you wasn't feeling right, it sounds like you did say something's not going on right here.
Something wasn't right.
Right.
And I know it. I know it. If I tie my shoelace and I feel
correct,
right,
that's right.
just tying a simple shoelace,
right,
tying a shoelace, or just putting on a pair of jeans, getting in the car, moving wrong. I mean, we experience that as we age, but I do know at that point that I did feel uncomfortable, and when you feel discomfort, it's a reason. It's called discomfort.
correct.
Okay, so you have to take charge of your body. Listen to your body. Your body is like a computer. And when it begins to shut down, it's going to shut down.
Right.
It's going to show you signs. So 75 to 80% of women, they catch it late stage 3 and stage 4.
Correct.
When it has now entered into their liver, their spleen, their bladder. It's your major part of your body. So when I tell you I am blessed, I am blessed. Was I mad at first? Yes, because I'm like, why me? But when I realized how blessed I am, and that's why I said, please play grateful, because I am grateful.
I know that's right.
I am grateful. God still has work for me to do.
There you go.
Every morning I say that, please use me as your servant. And sometimes he shows off a little bit because he goes a little bit too far. And I have assignments that a little bit, challenging, but I do it. And I listen. So that is the reason why I'm still here.
Well, and again, I think those of us who are in education, particularly those of us who are truly called in it, we are servants. That's exactly what we are. Every day that we walk in those buildings and we serve those students, that's exactly what we're doing. We're serving. We're trying to make life better for somebody else. Now, we can complain, we can whine and moan, we can say and do whatever we want to do, but at the end of the day, we're making life better for somebody else. Whether the students and the families want to admit it or not, we are. Generally, they tend to, when they come back, as they get older and they come back, then they see the value of what we offered. I'm going to go back to what I was just saying, and again, because I'm reading this book by St. Marshall, and it's going up with what Kim just said about being chosen, because that's why she named the book about being chosen. It says, I'm looking at your pathology report now, Cynthia, and I have news. It's bad and it's significant. There were a lot of other words that followed about a malignant tumor and lymph nodes and the urgency of scheduling more appointments. From some distant place, I heard him telling me that without chemotherapy, I had at best, a 25% chance of being here 5 years from now. There was only one thing to do. With shaking hands, I called my mother. I remember, now this woman is 51 at the time. I remember when she answered the phone that day, I had to strain to hear her traditional, "Hey, honey," just above a whisper. "How are you doing?" My mother is typically very soft-spoken. I could barely hold it together as I told her about the pathology results and what Dr. Tyner told me. The word cancer might have been the hardest word I had ever said. But my mother's voice didn't waver in her immediate response. "This is for his glory." You see, my mother is a saint, an angel, and a prayer warrior enrolled into one. But I hadn't known about this cancer for very long, and I wasn't ready to face something that might kill me, even if it was for God's glory. My mother told me she felt a message from the Lord drop into her spirit as soon as I said the word cancer. She said that because I had a high-profile job and because so many people knew me, my cancer journey would live itself out in the public eye, and people would benefit from watching my faith in action as I faced and beat it. There was no hesitation in her voice as she prophesied my eventual recovery, despite the prognosis. Her words were coming straight from heaven. All sickness is not unto death, which is something Jesus says in the Gospel of John. She finished by saying again, this is for his glory. Now, Sent goes on to say, you know what, I ain't want to hit at the time. I wanted the pity party. Right, that's what she said. Like, she called up another friend to give her the pity party. But, sometimes we do go through things that it does give God an opportunity to say, see, that was me.
I told you.
Right, and it's if you're going through it, it does not feel good. That's why I'm intrigued by this book that I'm reading about Joseph, because it goes into Joseph being in the prison, being left there 2 more years after he told the cupbearer, "Don't forget me." It goes into the rejection. It goes into the false accusation by Potiphar's wife. It gets into all of that and his reactions to it. When you're going through these things, no, they do not feel good. On the other hand, though, once you've gone through it and you are now a testimony, because that's what Kim is giving this morning. That's what Karen gave a couple of weeks ago. They're giving testimonies. Some of you out there going through something, again, that you think the worst thing in the world is happening to you and everybody else is fine dandy, everybody else is honky-dory, everybody else has milk and honey. No, everybody's going through something. It's how you react. And Kim said something about her spirit. There is a major difference between someone going into something like this with a really bad pessimistic spirit compared with, all right, yeah, it's bad, but you know what? I'm a fighter. I'm going to beat this. You know what? I ain't going out like this. You know what? Yeah, yep, these treatments are a pain in the tail, but you know what? I'm going to do what I need to do because I am going to live. So, I mean, what was like, you're going through these treatments, because this is the thing. And I had these words told me by a doctor before. Doctor said, look, either change or die. Now, when doctor says that, like, okay, I'll change. You know, when they say change or die, like, okay, I'll change. Okay. When you're faced with death, what does that do in terms of, like, look, let me do what I need to do because I want to be here as long as I can be here?
That's the point. I want to be here as long as I can. I don't want to die. Mark, I could have been dead, and you and I will not be having this conversation at all. So when I tell you I am grateful, I am grateful. And so when you look at yourself in the mirror every day and you see a different you appreciate who you used to be, right? So as you move forward, you make changes in your life. What was I before and what will I be now? Because the old me is no longer the new me, because the new me now has a testimony because she had a test. And what did they say? When the teacher is quiet, right? When the student taking the test, the teacher is quiet, right? So I'm learning as I go along. It took a while. And right now I'm like, it is what it is. I'm not stressful anymore. I'm not putting myself in situations where I feel is negative. I'm not doing it anymore. So because I have so much more to live for, because some people aren't here to tell their story. So because I am in the now and I know much more than I knew then, I can move forward and share my story with people so they'll know. Because some people are private, especially in the Black community. Oh, don't take it past the house. Don't say anything. It just stays in the family. No, people need to know. Because ovarian cancer is not as prevalent as breast cancer. You can get a mammogram to determine if there's a lump and if that lump is malignant. There is no pre-screening for ovarian cancer unless it's genetic. And you can take the BRCA test to determine if you have that gene. But I will stress that if you have endometriosis or you had endometriosis and you had fibroids, I would say stay on top of that. Stay on top of it, because you do not know if those can turn into cancer, become cancerous. You don't know. So I share that because usually with endometriosis and those cysts and the fibroids, they will give off more hormones, more estrogen in the body than it needs. And then your organs can become malignant. So, and I'm not a doctor by any means of the word, but what I'm saying to those who are listening to me, if you suffer from endometriosis and fibroids, please make sure you stay on top of that.
And you see, it's interesting that she just said that, because she's right. There are some cancers that are more aggressive and the survival rates are less. When you start getting into pancreatic cancer, you start getting into ovarian cancer, you start getting some of these other ones that can really, the survival rate's usually relatively low for certain cancers, and ovarian is one of those. That's why she said you have to catch it so early. So I'll tell you what, since she is here in the studio, like I said, I will open up the phone lines. The number is 973-720-2738. If you have a question for Kim or you want to talk to her, I'll put you on the air. Again, the number is 973-720-2738. You can call in. You can actually talk to Kim, as we've been talking about her journey with ovarian cancer and being an ovarian cancer survivor. Now, it was the funniest thing a few years ago. It was right before COVID hit. Literally right before COVID hit. Kim came in And she was so appreciative and grateful to be celebrating her 50th birthday. Her mom and dad sent flowers to the school. They had the big 50 balloons, the whole. And she said, you know what? I want to do something special for my birthday. I want to do something different. I'm just so glad to be alive. So she throws out to the staff, I want to go skydiving. Does anybody here want to go, who to go skydiving with me? Staff look at her like she's crazy. And I said, okay, I'll go. What'd you call it? So, we were right in the midst of planning to go skydiving. For those of you who listen, because I've told the story before, but this is the person. This is Kim. This is who we were supposed to go together. And we were getting ready to do it that spring. And March 16th of that year is when COVID hit. We have a caller on the line. I am going to get the caller. And caller, good morning. Caller, are you there? Oh, let me put you on there. Sorry about that. My fault. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm great. And Kim, how are you? Good morning to you.
Hi, Karen. Hi, KJ. Good morning to you. I am doing fine. How about you, beautiful?
Blessed just like yourself. As you were saying, people cannot see this beautiful diva.
Thank
This
you.
is a diva, an intelligent diva. And our paths crossed, and I thank God for our paths crossing because we were able to share our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And, hello?
Mm-hmm.
We're here.
And, yeah, I didn't know because I'm listening to the radio, I listen to you guys. And I am so grateful to have met you and to share our stories because we share similarly the neuropathy, and people just don't know what you go through. And like you said, you sit there, you're here, I shared my pictures, you shared your pictures. It's something.
It is.
It's something. And as myself, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have met you. I'm grateful to have met Mark, because without you two, I would have never shared my story.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for sharing your story.
And thank you for sharing yours, Karen, because you inspired me. You really did.
You inspired me, and I always tell you that. I said, you inspired me. I sit in my office, and I listen to you. You are a great educator, and I listen to you, and sometimes I'm in there laughing because you don't play, but you are as excellent.
Oh, see, this is why I don't fool with the phone. Good morning, caller. I think I wound up cutting Karen off, and I didn't mean to do that. Caller, good morning.
Yes, hi, good morning. My name is Indira Watson, and I'm a big sister for Miss Kim Williams, and I'd just like to call and lend my support. I'm calling to show love and support, and just to say that I'm so very proud of you, Kim. Throughout her whole journey, the diagnosis, the treatment, and even what's going on now, Kim has been a role model. She has been strong. She has just been a real trooper, and I am so proud of her.
Thank you so much. I love you so much, and thank you for the
pleasure.
support. You were 100% supportive to me, Kim. I appreciate you. You are my sister. We've known each other for, 49 years? It's been a long time.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I appreciate you so much, and I thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, Indira.
Thank you so much, and Kim, keep on spreading the word of awareness, and you're doing a wonderful job, and I'll continue to be proud.
Thank you.
All right, take care now. Go ahead, caller. We lighting the phones up. Kim lighting the phones up. I love it. Go ahead. Caller?
Kathy Morgan.
Kathy Morgan. Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. Good morning.
I just wanted to give my support because I just want to give my support because I met Kim when she came to YMLA. I met Kim when I came to YMLA. We both joined the same year. And Kim has just been this amazing person. I grew up with Mark, and just meeting Kim has just enhanced my life because our paths were kind of similar. I had cervical cancer at 18. I had my cells frozen. Went through the endometriosis, the whole nine. When they removed my uterus, my doctor said it came out in strips. So just to find out how blessed I was and just to know her story, whenever I'm feeling some kind of way, I go into Kim's office and I'm like this. She's like, listen to your body. Whatever your body is telling you, get to a doctor. And just from working in YMLA, the family setting, the support we give one another, and just being able to go upstairs, close her doors on her break, and talk to her, it's just amazing. She is such an awesome, awesome person. I call her my big little sister. Tim, I love you. Mark, I love you. And
I love you too. Thank you, Kat.
Forward, girl.
Well, thank you so much. I'm loving the calls coming. I got another one. The phone is lit up now. Thank you so much for calling, Kathy.
All right, have a great week.
You do
too.
the same. All right. Yeah, we got to lighten them up, boy. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Who do we have with us?
This is Kim Williams' mother.
Oh, Kim Williams' mom. All right. Good morning, Mom. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much for inviting my daughter on to tell her story.
Oh, we've known each other a long time, and I'm glad to be able to do it. We've had an opportunity. You know, like I said, the past young lady that was on, Karen Jones, gave me an idea, and I told Kim when I came back, I said, I'm going to have you on next. So we scheduled today, and like I said, the phone lines are lighting up. So any thoughts, anything you want to say, feel free.
Okay, so let me know when it's time for me to say something.
You can go right now.
Okay, I just want to thank the radio station for having my daughter on. I'm a little teary now because it was a very hard time for us. We were able to get through it. And how? First of all, because of God, and second of all, because my daughter is such a strong, inspiring person. So she helped me and her dad to get through that for 5 months. But I have to say this to the parents or any caretaker that's supporting someone who has cancer. You have to be strong. You have to rely on your God of your choice because it can be very hard. But I look at my daughter today. She's a beautiful woman at 53, and she definitely has great assignments to help other people.
All right now.
Thank you, Ma.
All right now. I know that support base is so important.
It is, and they were troopers. I have to say, they were troopers, and I don't know if I wouldn't have made it without them. And I just appreciate you, Ma, you and my father.
Probably would. I mean, it was like I remember when her 50th birthday flowers came into the school.
Yes.
And it was the big balloons and the flowers. I said, who are those from? She said, that's from my mom and dad. I was like, all right now.
I was souped.
You know, we honor her, and that's something we do every year. We just honor her. She's such a great daughter and a great person. So we have to show.
I know that's right.
To the world, yes. We thank you so much. Maybe one day I'll meet you. You never know.
We will. We'll make that happen.
Thank you, Mom.
All right. Take care now.
All right. Love you.
All right.
Take care. You too.
All right. All right, if you want to get in, the number is 973-720-2738. Karen, you can call back if you want to. So we got cut off there. I was fooling with these phones. That's why I don't like fooling with the phones when I have the call-in guests. Good morning, caller. Hold on a second. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Mark, I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
I am well. What's going on, Wardell? I know that voice.
Nothing much, my friend. Nothing much. Well, Mark, I just wanted to really quick tell Kim how proud I am of her. I met her just briefly when I came to visit, but she was an amazing person, and for her to share a story today, again, was also amazing. I'm a husband. I'm a dad of a daughter with 2 granddaughters, and my mom is currently going through cancer right now. So, again, for her to tell her story is inspiring and amazing, and I thank her from the bottom of my heart.
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling in. And listen, stand by your mom because she's going to need you. And she's going to be strong. And I'm going to tell you, for those who are going through chemotherapy, they're not going to really tell you how they really feel because they don't want you to worry. So just continue to be the great son that you are. And she's going to get through this. And your family will get through this. Just continue to pray. Continue to pray.
Well, again, that I'm going to do, and unfortunately, this is not Mom's first go-round.
Okay.
But she's a fighter, and like I said, to see her lose her crown, again, but she gained it back. But again, she's just tough, and I love her. But like I said, thank you so much for sharing your story today. Again, for all that you do for those young men, I know they appreciate it, because like I said, just a few minutes that I was in your presence, I appreciated it.
Thank you, and prayers go out to your mom and you.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day.
You too.
You do the same.
Thank you.
And we have another. Well, it was lighting up. Let's see. It stopped. Caller, go ahead. Call back if you those that was calling in just now. I saw the green light lighting up. Go ahead, call back because lighting up. You might set a record this morning. I love it. Because see, this is the thing about radio. Just because the phones are not ringing does not mean people are not listening. However, when the phones do light up, that is an indication that folks are listening. So the number is 973-720-2738. The caller, I saw you just now. I was trying to get to you, and you stopped just as I was getting ready to hit the lit button. So if you want to call back, feel free. Anita, big shout outs to you. Anita's texting me saying she actually has a t-shirt, a cancer survivor t-shirt. That's what she's telling me. Go ahead.
I'm going to share this with you as well. My aunt passed away from cancer in 2017. And I remember giving her a bracelet that had a charm and had an arrow that goes up which says "Stand up for cancer." So when she passed, I asked my uncle, "Please, can I have it back?" Because I love her and she was my favorite aunt. Who knew that I would be wearing that same bracelet the following year?
Wow. We never know.
Symbolism is something.
Exactly. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Caller? Did you drop?
Hi, Mark. It's Anita.
Hey, Anita. There we go. How you doing?
All right, yourself. Good morning. I just want to mention, as she mentioned, it can be a silent killer. It's going to be a short story. And a few years ago, when I was in my 50s, my face started breaking out with acne. And I went to the dermatologist. I said, "When do you start breaking out in acne in your 50s? He says, "It's not acne." I looked at him like, "What?" He says, "I have to send you to get some blood work." I said, "Okay, not a problem." So I get the blood work, and some ovaries produce a lot of estrogen. Mine was testosterone. It was double explanation point when the lab results came back. Long story short, produced too much testosterone. If I did not have surgery, I would have developed ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, and cervical cancer. So I had to have my both ovaries and fallopian tubes removed in order not to develop these cancers. So it can break out in your skin as well.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And the doctor was like, "Yeah." It was not acne. I'm getting all the acne treatment and it's not working. And I said, "Dermatologist," and he says it's not. And they thought I had a tumor. They said, "You have a tumor somewhere." I had to have a biopsy on my uterus. I had to go through CAT scans, and they went through specialists, and they said, "She does not have a tumor. She does not have a mass. What is going on?" It took them almost a year. It took a year later for me to get the surgery, but it took a year for this team of specialists to study my medical records. And they said, "What is going on with her body?" But we got to find out the solution because her testosterone levels was off the chain. So that's when they decided to remove the ovaries. And when they did the biopsy, they came back and said, "Your ovaries was producing too much testosterone." It came back. But you don't have cancer. Everything was benign. And I was like, thank
God.
So when I had the surgery, it was so funny. I looked at the doctor. I said, "Who was the first anesthesiologist?" And they went back to their medical books, and it was like, "Such and such, such and such." I said, "No, it was God when he put amnesty to remove the rib." And he looked at me like, "Oh, my goodness, I never heard of that." I said, "Yeah, you need to read."
Amen.
And they just chuckled. So that was my short story. So if anyone is going through even some acne changes, like you said, you have to pay attention to your body. It's not acne. It's your body just...
It's telling you something.
Yeah, and it told me, like at 50s, in my 50s, who gets acne? I'm like, "Are you serious?"
50.
And for the three of you who are calling, I see you. Just hang on. I'll get to you in a minute. I'm sitting here with mouth open because I just saw Anita a couple of months ago at our class reunion. And again, you would never know, based on outward appearance, what folks have gone through. Anita, had you not said that, I wouldn't just not have known. And Anita and I have known each other since elementary school, since we were elementary school kids. I would not have known.
Yeah.
Well, it's a blessing, Anita, and I'm glad you were able to be attentive. You have to, again, listen to that body.
And call us. I see you there. You just let the phone ring. I'll get you. Just stay there and let it ring. I'll get you. All right.
Yeah. And also the type of work that I do, I'm an advocate in the healthcare field, so I assist patients getting state and federal benefits, Medicaid and disability. So I'm reading a lot of medical records, and when I'm hearing your story, like stage 1, stage 2, I say, oh, yes, she was highly blessed because she caught it early, because when you get to stage 3, 4, and that's it. Like you mentioned, it spreads. So, and I'm listening to you, I said, she's so right, I'm just laying here, because that's what I do. I assist people, and most of my patients, unfortunately, have cancer. And I had this one young lady, a young mother of like 3 children. She said, I had a lump in my breast. I couldn't take off from work. I couldn't, and I said, but you in the hospital now with stage 4 breast cancer. She said, I didn't have insurance. I said, regardless, I don't care if you didn't have insurance. You go to the emergency room, you get admitted, you get treated. I said, the hospital has a financial assistance department. You're eligible. You're a single mother with 3 children. And then I would have come along as an advocate. After reading your medical records, I would assist you with getting Medicaid. Now I got to help you get Medicaid and disability. And I said, never ignore your body, sweetheart. Never. I don't care. Never. So I don't know how she is today, but I just prayed with her and gave her a hug. And that's the part of the job that I like to lift up.
I know that's right.
Encourage you.
Well, Nita, I am so glad you called in and shared that. I have 3 other calls that are lit. I'm going to take them on, but thank you so much. I'll be in touch with you about the T-shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
You're welcome.
All right.
Stay blessed.
Okay.
You as well. Thank you.
Take care. Go ahead, caller. You're on. Caller? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, okay. Did they all hang up? Good morning. I guess they... Okay, I guess those are... If you want to call... If you were calling, try it again. Like I said, right now, Kim has set the record. She had set the record for calls. If you haven't been with us, and we're getting ready to go into the 8 o'clock hour, but Kim really has set the record in terms of lighting in front. That's the first time I think I've ever seen 3 or 4 lit up at the same time. But if you want to call in, the number is 973-720-2738. We're getting ready to cross into the 8 o'clock hour. You're listening to WP 88.7 FM radio. We also web stream around the world on GoBrave.org. My special guest this morning is Kim Williams, and she is talking about her survival and her journey with ovarian cancer. Because again, like she said, and we're not downplaying or minimizing any of the cancers. I just don't like the word cancer, period. But there are some that come up more common than others. Ovarian and some of the other ones you don't hear as much of, even though they are still with folks are still struggling with colon cancer. There we go. You start talking to the pancreas and all of that. You know, they're aggressive. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, hi. My name is Susie Remo.
Good morning, Ms. Remo.
Hi, Ms. Remo.
Hi, Mark.
Hello there. Hello there.
Yeah, great show. Wow. Kim, you are such a strong person. I will never imagine that you went through this ordeal.
Yes.
Hi. Yes. You know, you're such a wonderful person, and you know whatever you went through, you show so much strength because God was there for you.
Amen.
Yeah, you are a very strong person. You still have a lot to do in this world.
I agree. Thank you, Susie
Well,
Q.
thank you so much. All right, we have another call coming. Thank you so much for the call. All right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. My name is Tavon, and I am a very, very dear best friend of Kim for over 30 years. Hi, Kimmy.
Hi, TT.
Hi. I want to cry. This is a strong woman you have sitting next to you, a very strong woman. And when we found out and we received that call, I remember I was at work. My mother called me on my cell phone. I had to leave out my office, and I just went and I cried. I said, oh, my God, I can't believe this. So I've been there through that journey. But you know what? I said, T, put your big girl panties on. She needs you to be strong. You can't call her up boo-hoo and crying. You got to be there for her. So when we found out, my mother and I booked a flight, and we came out there, and we stood by Kim for a couple of days because I'm from Jersey, but I live in Georgia now.
Okay.
So we went out there and we waited on her hand and foot.
Sure did.
And she took advantage of it.
I
But
did.
you know what? I would have done it for her 10 times over.
Yes.
I love you, Kim. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for telling your story because you're going to reach someone else.
I love you too,
You're gonna help
TT.
someone else. And as she said, she is always giving. That's a very giving person, and I'm sure
That's
you know
right.
that. She's always giving, always saying, you come to her, Canada, let me find out. Let me call such and such and such and such and see what I can do. She's going to find a way.
That's right.
She's going to find a way.
That's right.
But I love you, Kim.
I love you, TT. Thank you for calling.
Oh, you know I wouldn't miss it for the world. I love you.
I love you. I'll call you later.
Thank you for
Okay.
listening. Thank you for calling. All right.
you.
Take care now. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Good morning. Did we lose that one? Okay, call back again. If you were just the one that was on, that you were ringing up the phone. And, it's interesting that I'm hearing as folks are calling in, which is another thing that's great. They're talking about that strength. They're absolutely right. In terms of, again, if you walk into our building and you go up to Kim's classroom, the boys know her as Miss Nutter. If you go up to Miss Nutter's classroom, you, like I said, would, unless the fact that she's telling you this morning, you would not know that she's gone through, as Miss Remo said, that ordeal. Because that was a very good word for that when she said ordeal. That's exactly what that is an ordeal. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Who do we have with us this morning?
My name is Wanda Williams.
Hey, Wanda, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Whatever you'd like to say, feel free. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Wanda Williams. I have been a BFF of Kim for about over 40 years. So I'm just calling in to lend my support and let her know that I am proud of her. Anyone who knows Kim has obviously been blessed. But, what's understood doesn't need to explain. So Kimmy knows who I am. I just love her.
Hi, Wani.
Oh, hey, Kim.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you could hear me.
I'm choked up. It's hard for me to get my thoughts together.
It's all right.
Because I'm filled this morning. And I thank you guys for calling.
Oh, please. Kimmy, you are such a blessing. As you had said earlier, where you on Johnny on the spot for everybody else, I am so glad that I had the opportunity to be Johnny on the spot for you.
Amen.
I call you my warrior. I was so proud of you. Even though we were all devastated by the news, we knew that you would get through it because of the type of person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, continued good health. We love you. I know I'll probably talk or text to you later, but I also wanted to say one of the things that you brought up is definitely, and this is for everyone, men, women, you definitely have to advocate for your health.
Mm-hmm.
When something does not feel right, even if a doctor is just kind of brushing it off, you remain persistent. You ask for tests. If necessary, get a second opinion, get a third opinion, get a fourth opinion. You know your body. So, I work in the healthcare industry, and that's one of the things that messages I always relay. Because, a lot of times, because of volume, sometimes doctors do have a tendency to be dismissive. However, you have to remain vigilant when it comes to your health.
Yes. You have to. I agree.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. I hear myself on the other side. Okay. So, Kimmy, I love you. Mark, thank you for taking my call. And everyone have a blessed day.
I love you too, Wani.
And welcome. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All
Love
right.
you, Kimmy.
Love you too. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And we brought this up whenever Karen was on the show as well, in terms of you really need to have a relationship with your doctor to be able to say whatever it is that you're feeling or whatever it is you're going through. You should be able, and at the same time, when something's not feeling good or working for you, say, you know what, I don't know what it is, but it's not working for me. You're going to have to change out. You're going to, I don't know, but that procedure or that medicine is not working. My body's, when I take that, this is what happens. When I take that, I feel worse than if I had not taken it. And you got to be able to tell the doctor that, because not for nothing, and I have friends who are doctors, they are, but I know because they have medical doctorates that they sometimes confuse themselves with God. I get it. But the truth of the matter is, no, they're not God. And I know doctors are accustomed to whatever they say go. That, you know what, I'm all well-knowing being, the grand, high, exalted ruler. I'm that person, so whatever I say goes. The truth of the matter is, no. Sometimes they misdiagnose. Sometimes they give you medicines that don't do better for you. They make you feel worse. And you got to be able to go in there. You cannot be intimidated. You cannot go in there and be intimidated and say, well, that's the doctor, so he must know or she must know, so I'm not going to say anything. No, you let your doctor know. Over the years, I've gotten much better at that. I'm not telling you that it's something I've always been able to do, but I've gotten much better at that. Matter of fact, I left a doctor one time because of some commentary that he made to me whenever a medicine was not feeling the way I wanted it to feel. He prescribed a statin for me, and the statin was, when I was taking the statin, I was feeling worse than when I not taking it. So I told him, I said, I'm not going to take that anymore. And he turned around and looked at me and said, well, you want to die like your father? That was it for him. And at that point, I went and found a new general physician, a new GP. I didn't go back to him no more after that. You're not going to talk to me that way. I'm going to sit there. No. You go, yeah. Look, there's another way you could have said that. To get your point across, but you just come out and say, do you want to die like your father? Like, oh, absolutely not. You're done. You still should be able to, like I said, I've got all of my doctors, I know them almost as friends to a degree, that whenever I go into their offices, I can tell them whatever's going on with me. Even stuff that, like the last time I went to my general doctor, I was telling her stuff that wasn't even necessarily medical, but it would be impacting my medical. And she asked me some questions and said, well, try this, do this, so forth, so forth. Like, okay. But you got to get to that point. You cannot be intimidated when you get to the doctor's office and not tell them what's going on, because then they can't make a proper assessment. Right. Because they think everything's fine.
And you have to have a relationship with them. I know with me, with my gynecologist, oh my God, I love them there. I look forward to going. I'm loud, we have fun, so... And also my oncologist when at the infusion center, Dr. Wagmiller, St. Barnabas Hospital, she is wonderful. Now, they have a plethora of oncologists there, but she is one of the best. And when I tell you the bedside manner, and we talked about her children, school. She asked me questions about, what can she do for one of her boys. So at the end of the day, you have to develop a relationship so you feel comfortable. Because if they come in with what they call the white coat, where you're scared of the white coat, the nervousness of the white coat, right? You want to be able to share with them how you truly feel and what would be better for you, what would be advantageous for you moving forward. So again, that was insensitive of your doctor.
Oh, very much so. And I did not use him again.
No.
Now, we were talking earlier about this whole notion of, but God, I tried to do everything right. I tried to be good. I tried to help. I tried to serve. I tried to do well by people, so forth and so on. But the truth of the matter is, that's not necessarily the yardstick as what things that happen to us is measured by. And I just told you all earlier, I'm reading this book, Joseph, a Man of Integrity and Forgiveness. It says, our human ways are based on what seems fair. We firmly believe that when someone does what is right, rewards and blessing result. When someone does what is wrong, there are serious consequences, even punishment. But that's our way, not necessarily God's way. At least not immediately. He's been known to allow unfair treatment to occur in the lives of some absolutely innocent folks for reasons far more profound and deep than they or we could have imagined. How slowly he steps in. If anybody knew about unfair treatment, about mistreatment, about being an innocent victim on the receiving end, it was Joseph. First, he received unfair treatment from his family. His brothers hated him, wanted to kill him, but sold him into slavery instead. Next, his circumstances were unexpectedly restricted. He became a slave in a land where he didn't even know the language. One minute, he was a 17-year-old boy with his whole life before him, and the next, he was totally at the mercy of actually the property of some stranger. Following all of that, he was falsely accused. After earning the favor of his master Potiphar, the master's wife tried to seduce Joseph. As we saw in the previous chapter, when he didn't submit to her wishes, she lied and said this slave tried to rape me. As a result of her lies, he was unjustly put in prison and abandoned. Now, see, the upshot there was like 1 minute, Joseph was riding on cloud nine. I'm the man, 17 years old, the favorite son. I got the coat, so forth and so on. And the next news you know, he's now in a pit being sold. That's how quickly life happens. Speaking of that, and I know I don't know if you've seen it or not. Have you watched the show or the series From Scratch?
Oh, my God. When I tell you that I cried like a newborn baby because I experienced it, it was a trigger for me because I know I'm here to tell my story, yes, but it was a trigger for me on both ends. Having cancer, going through the therapy, and then watching his wife, my mom and dad, the caretakers, take care of him like they took care of me. When I tell you I came to school the next day, my eyes were swollen. I could not stop. I cried from the gut, for lack of better words. I could not stop crying. It had a lot of different triggers for me, but those two, the caretaker and then the one on the receiving end having the treatment, that hit for me.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there's a wonderful series I was introduced to by my friend. She introduced it to me. We tried to watch it and couldn't watch it, and I finally got a chance to watch it. And then that next day, I go into the school, and the security guard is talking about this. Karen, who was on the show. Karen was talking to me about this series From Scratch. I was like, whoa, hold up. I was just talking about this show last night, and now I walk in this morning. And see, when things like that happen to me, I know for me, now I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, when things happen like that, to me, I take that as God speaking to me. Like, I just talked about this with my friend last night, and now I walk in here this morning, and you're talking about it, so I need to check out this series. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, I do, and Zoe Saldana and that whole crew, they did a yeoman's job in terms of production, in terms of quality, because I'm not a big TV person, but that one was worth the time spent watching. Mm-hmm. That was worth watching to see, and it's very reflective and depicts life. Mm-hmm. Every time in the show, and I won't do a spoiler alert. If you have Netflix, I do encourage you to watch it. If you have Netflix, I don't know if it's on any of the other platforms, but I know it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, the title of the show is From Scratch. If you watch it, the title will make sense to you. Mm-hmm. All right? But it was very reflective, and like I said, it depicts just how life is. Every time you think you're running smooth, obstacle. Overcome the obstacle, running smooth again, obstacle. Running smooth again, obstacle. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like, and she said it will. I mean, it's kind of, you got to be a hard-hearted something not to at least choke up or shed a tear or bawl or cry, whatever you want to call it, because it will emotionally take you there. Yep. It really will. So for all those men out there that think you can't cry, well, you know what? Shame on you, because I don't see even being a man is watching that and you don't choke up. Right. On that. So because it's that deep. It really, every time I got to episode 3 and I thought episode 3 was deep, and it was nowhere close. No. To how deep the remaining episodes were going to get. In my mind, I'm saying, when is this going to end? Because I can't take it anymore. It's too much. I couldn't take it. I said, I was killing myself. I am a glutton for punishment. So I kept going on and on. I said, all right, Kim, you have to stop it, because you can no more emotionally watch this film. It will take you on an emotional roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. It really will. Again, I'm going to take a few more calls, and before you know it, it'll be almost time for Kim to be done. What a wonderful time again for folks to be able to share their story, because again, for those of you in the listening audience, whatever your struggle may be, you're not the only one. Do not be fooled. Do not be tricked to think that you are the only one in life who has ever gone through whatever you're going through. There really is nothing new under the sun. There really isn't. I mean, we think we're the first. We think we're the only ones that's going to, but we haven't. And the more you can get your story out there, and like they've been saying in terms of, and some of the support group has been calling in. The support group has been calling. The more that you can get those support groups, the attitude that you have going into it will make the difference. A lot of people think this whole attitude thing is a bunch of hooey. They think the positive thinking, they think the positive spirit, they think the laughter, they think all of that whenever you're faced with a difficulty. They think that's denial, or they think it's a bunch of hooey.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
I am a strong believer of positive thinking and laughing. Laughter is the fuel for the soul. I will have listen, we high-fiving. You can hear me, you and I, downstairs laughing loud because it makes you feel better when you laugh. I can't stand Debbie Downers.
No, I can't either.
And negative Nancy's.
It's funny because Kim comes this morning. She says, "Are you feeling better?" I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling better than yesterday." She said, "I could see it in your face yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it." I mean, folks know your spirit. They know when you're good, and they know whenever something's going on. Yesterday, I just was not feeling well. I stayed in my office all day long. But folks know, like, that's not his usual self. He's usually running around the building, bopping around the building, this, that, and the other. We haven't seen him all day. And she said, "I saw it in your face yesterday." Yes. So to her point, she's absolutely right. The positive energy makes a difference. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people that think when you try to tell them that that's just a bunch of, that's a bunch of crap. And I'm stuck with this. But see, that's where, they get into that. It's not going, for those of us in education, we know the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Mm-hmm. Okay? They get into that fixed mindset. Oh my God, I have cancer, I'm going to die. Well, guess what? If that's the way that's the script you keep telling yourself, yes, that's what's going to happen. If you now take on, like you said, I'm going to take on, okay, whatever will be, I'm going to do my best. It won't be because I just sat here and let it take me over. I actually fought it to the best of my ability, so forth and so on. That's a little bit different. That's a different reaction and a different output, a different outlook rather. But me personally, I mean, like I said, I haven't gone through a whole lot of bad things in my life, but for the few bad things I have gone through, I have tried to keep a relatively positive perspective on it. Like, okay. And that's not to say that anything is always good, because it's not. When you're being faced and you're being told that you have a possible terminal illness, and again, like I said, that's one thing that fascinates me, because I hope I never ever have to experience. I've experienced a lot of different things, but that's one I hope I never have to experience, because I don't know if I could process that. I guess I would have to, because I wouldn't have a choice. And let me say this while I'm on this point, because we were talking earlier about menstrual and endometriosis. Endometriosis and all that. I could say for a fact now, I am so grateful and thankful to be a man, because I can tell you just whenever, and I've been around women all my days, so I know about the monthlies and the menstruals and the headaches and the cramps and the this, that, and the other. I can tell you now, men wouldn't be able to take that.
No.
I can tell you that right now. Men would not be able to take it. If men had to have children, we would not have any population.
And that's funny, because I don't have children, and I could not have children because of endometriosis. Mm-hmm. It took my egg supply. So when I was on my menstrual, the pain was so debilitating. I would ask my girlfriends, "What does it feel like to be in labor?" That's how bad it was. But I can barely walk. I said, "Well, if this is the case, you can have those kids, because I'm not having this." Before I knew my egg supply was gone, my ovarian reserve, there was nothing left. So I get it, because if I went through it, I can't imagine with men, because you guys act like big babies right. over a sniffle.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. And let's be real, men. I can tell you right now, like I said, I've been with women all my days, all daughters, no sons, a couple of wives. So in terms of being around women all my days, yes, and I've seen the various during that time of the month, this, that, and the other. And I know for a fact, no, I could not know. So I always take my hat off to the women, like, y'all have to deal with that every month. God bless you. But I mean, we're making jest, but in all seriousness, that's nothing to play with in terms of your body. Do know when it's not doing something that's normal. There's something feels off here. Mm-hmm. Something doesn't feel right. Get it checked out. And like I said, women tend to do that more than men. Men, again, go. And I'm a witness. Now, I don't like going necessarily, but I'm kind of like Kim. When I do go to the doctors, I know them so well. We almost on a first name basis. Mm-hmm. So it's like when I do go, we chat and this, that, and the other, and they'll make their diagnosis of what I need to do next, and so forth and so on. And you need to have somebody that you trust. All right. And for those of you who haven't, particularly those of you who have gone through and survived and surviving or what have you, let somebody else, because you never know. We never know who's going to, because I record the broadcast. It's put on my YouTube channel at any given time. Anybody can take a listen to it. You never know who this is going to help, who this is going to bless. Just never know.
I agree. And again, I remember Anita saying earlier about it being too late with ovarian stage 3 and 4, and they call it the sleeping lion because it's an aggressor. It was sleeping and now it's rearing its head, right? So at the end of the day, I cannot keep stressing it. You have to listen to your body. I'm glad Anita was able to take a look at her acne to say, you know what, something's not right. And she went through a battery of tests, yes. And if you feel like a doctor is not serving you well, he's not the only doctor.
Correct. There is that thing called second, third, fourth, fifth opinion. You're
exactly.
Absolutely right. They're not the only ones. And we do get locked into that too.
We do.
You're right. You're right. And Kim is absolutely right. Even with a doctor, you're like, okay, doc, look, it's not that I don't trust you. I just want to make sure. So, I'll get let me get a second opinion, and they might even recommend somebody to say, well, try this person, see if they come up with the same thing. But yeah, again, this whole doctor-patient relationship, you need to have one. That's about it for me. Unless there's anything else you want to share, anybody else you want to shout out, I'm going to turn the mic off, and I'm going to give you the next 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, however long it takes for you to shout out or whatever you want to close out with.
I thank everyone for calling. I mean, my support system is huge. I have a great support system. I don't know what I would have done without them. I thank my mom. I thank my dad. I thank my best friends, Tavon that called in, Wanda, Indira. I mean, it's so many to name. And I just thank you. All my sorority sisters, everyone. I mean, if I missed your name, I apologize. I just know that I love you and it's coming from my heart. And I thank you for being there for me. I just want women to listen to me from the sound of my voice that if something is wrong, it is wrong. My advice to you is, again, to listen to your body. And if the symptoms persist, because it may be, again, with ovarian cancer, it mimics the normal signs of bloating, abdominal pain, vomiting, nausea. That can just be the stomach bug. But if it's persistent, I think I read something where if it's persistent for like 2 to 3 weeks, then you have to really go check it out because something is wrong. I'm going to tell you, my cyst was not cancerous. It's when he took the cyst out, he discovered ovarian cancer. So that God was saying, all right, I whispered to you, you didn't listen. I threw that rock, you still didn't listen. I'm about to bring this brick wall down. And that cyst is that brick wall to say you better get together because I done showed you enough signs. So that when the cyst was removed, which was not malignant, is when he discovered the ovarian cancer stage 1, late stage 1, early stage 2. Again, listen to your body. Endometriosis, fibroids, ovarian cysts, stay on top of that. If it's hereditary, you can take the BRCA1, BRCA2 test, and it'll determine if you have that gene for cancer. Inform your gynecologist of your concerns. This is what's bothering me. If you do not feel comfortable, go to another one. If he or she does not satisfy you, go to another one. Okay? And if you are predisposed to it or you feel like, because it runs in your family, I would consistently, yearly get a CA125 blood test. Again, that blood test is a cancer antigen that will determine if there's any cancer that is in your blood, that is in your body. Any indication of cancer is going to show. Get a transvaginal ultrasound. That ultrasound is where the doctor is able to see what is going on in your pelvic and abdominal area. And on top of that, get the CT scan, because I did not want the transvaginal ultrasound because I didn't feel like it was that much more in depth as I needed it to be. That CT scan, when you drink the formula, it lights you up, like I told Mark earlier, like a Christmas tree. So, and it'll show each and everything that is wrong with you in that particular area. Stay on top of your health. I thank you guys for listening. You were wonderful for those who called in. I thank you for your support. Mark, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. You know, we always have fun.
That's right.
It's nothing new.
That we do. You're right. And we, at some point, and where's JP? I know JP might be listening. He always teases me about the skydiving. But at some point, we're gonna do that skydiving.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do that skydiving at some point. I don't know when, but we're going to do that skydiving.
Yes. And I want to say this too. I'm sorry, because Karen, for whatever reason, the phones, were blowing up and you were disconnected. I want to say to you, thank you for your story. We talk every morning. You are my diva. I love you. You're beautiful. And again, you do not look like what you've been through. So none
of you do.
This is a ditto for me, for you. And you are my voice of reason. And when I'm upset about something, I just come to you. And your voice is just pleasing. You're welcoming. You're inviting. I just can't say it enough. And I just thank you for just being you. And I feel comfortable that I can say, listen, is this happening to you? Is that happening to you? Do you still feel this? Did you get this something from your chemotherapy? It's like we bonded. God brought us into each other in our paths for a reason. And I thank you for being you, Karen. And I love you. Kathy, thank you for calling. Susie Q, Ms. Remo, thank you for calling. My YMLA family, I know you're listening. And I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
All right, everybody. And I tell you, I take my hat off because I know all these women that Karen, I know Anita, I know Kim. No idea that that's what they've gone through. Because I tell you, and I mean that with all sincerity, if you walk upon them, they look like they have been the picture of health forever. Would not know. But then again, that's a testament to what God can do. All right? That's a testament of what God can do. So with that being said, we are going to close out. I thank you so much for rising early. Karen and Kim, both of them, I told them 6:30 and both of them got here at 6 o'clock.
Could you believe it?
Both of them got here whenever.
I'm always late.
Whenever Kim was supposed to do. When Karen was doing hers, I told her 6:30. She was here at 6 o'clock. This morning, 6 o'clock phone rang. She said, I'm here.
Because you're a stickler.
Yeah, I am. At the building, I am a stickler on time. So that's why I started laughing. I said, wow, maybe, I am rubbing off on them. I don't know. But it was like, at 6 o'clock, they were here. Karen was here at 6. Kim was here at 6. Right. I told them 6:30. They were here. Better early than late, but I'll take it. But so glad that you came up.
Me too.
I'm going to
go
ahead
you.
and let the music play as I get ready to let you out. But thank you again. God bless you. Keep doing what you do.
Same here. Thank you. God bless everyone.
All right.